From dominating with the Phoenix Suns to feuding with Shaq, Charles Barkley just went viral for doubting Wembanyama's ability to be effective in the NBA. It's safe to say that he isn't ready to jump on the Wembanyama hype train just yet, because Barkley refused to believe that he's as good as they say he is. Okay, so the 60-year-old was recently asked about his opinion on Victor Wembanyama, and in case you've been living under a rock, you'll know that Wembanyama is projected to be the #1 draft pick for the 2023 NBA Draft.
In the 80s, we didn't see it often, but we did see it. But I'm not sure Ralph was doing that. Yeah, I'm not sure Ralph was doing that at 18 years old.
Now, even though the draft is pretty far away, he's already considered to be the best in his class. That makes you wonder how good he is. I mean, think about it. He's got to be doing something right. However, even while the whole world seems to be in love with Victor, Barkley isn't the biggest fan. He seems to think that while Wembanyama might be killing it in France, that doesn't mean he'll dominate in the NBA.
Konate. Trying to post up Wemby. Catches it over the top, and an easy finish inside.
According to Charles, the 19-year-old still needs to prove whether he's got what it takes to play with the big dogs of the NBA. Now, Barkley isn't some random sports pundit. He's been an NBA player himself. But there's another reason why he's not thrilled about Wembanyama's prospect just yet. After all, it's no secret that Barkley isn't the biggest fan of foreign players.
But I can't sit here now just because he's killing people over in the Czech Republic that he's going to come over here and dominate. I just don't believe it.
Back when Luka was about to be drafted, for instance, Barkley was one of the many basketball pundits who doubted his ability. He didn't think Doncic had it in him to be able to dominate in the NBA. However, even though he hated on Luka every chance he got, the 24-year-old still managed to defy expectations. Nowadays, Doncic seems to be dropping a triple-double in every game. So with Doncic's rise in mind, you have to wonder whether Wembanyama will be able to replicate any of his success.
What a long reach, and he's off to the races to the fast break. That's a slammer, bama, jammer, Victor Wembanyama.
At the same time, you have to remember that Barkley has a good point too. There's no doubt in my mind that up until he plays his first NBA game, everything that's being said about him is just pure speculation. That said, he's played a few games in the US before against other draft prospects, and he dominated. So one thing's for sure, there's almost no chance that he'll turn out to be a dud. But then you have to wonder how good he is.
And 3 on the shot clock. Wembanyama catch and shoot 3, and he rails it.
Honestly, you'd be surprised at how talented this kid is. Let's start by talking about how physically gifted he is. When it comes to winning the genetic lottery, it's clear that Wembanyama hit it big. The kid has a height of well over 7 feet. That, combined with his 8-foot wingspan, makes him a force to be reckoned with. On top of that, the kid is as thin as a stick and still weighs well over 200 pounds. It's insane to imagine how jacked this man will get once he gets on an NBA training regimen.
I've had the chance that, unlike most players, I never will to cheat on my height. I was tall enough, because
all of these physical attributes make him a no-brainer when it comes to being drafted as the #1 overall pick. Of course, he's not just physically gifted, but he has an excellent basketball IQ as well. He's able to dictate the pace of the game thanks to his insane handles and presence on the court. He's been able to spot insanely tough passes time and time again. From everything I've seen from this guy so far, it's clear that he's gearing up to dominate in the NBA. With that said, whether or not he manages to do so is a different story entirely. That's because you must remember the pressure on this kid's shoulders.
Dave Jones trying to push the pace, hands off Wembanyama. Oh my goodness. Whoa.
As it stands right now, the NBA is being run by foreign players. The last 4 MVPs of the league include players such as Nikola Jokic and Antetokounmpo. Since so many foreign players seem to be popping off in the NBA right now, it's no wonder there's so much pressure on Victor's shoulders. I mean, that amount of pressure is detrimental to a person's confidence. Plus, we haven't even talked about the fact that he's almost constantly under a magnifying glass. Like, sure, he's an exceptionally talented player, but there's There's also a dark side to everything that's been happening to him. While the world gets to see this kid smash his opponents day after day, Wembanyama himself is almost always in front of a camera. With so many people riled up by this guy's skill, it's no wonder that paparazzi are always swarming around him. If the pressure of performing well as a foreign player wasn't enough, now he's got someone looking over his shoulder at every waking second. Yet, even then, he somehow manages to make sure he performs at the top level every time he steps on a basketball court. Seeing how well he's been performing of late, it's gotten me wondering about something big, which is whether he can join the list of foreign legends in the NBA. When it comes to foreign legends who dominate the NBA, there's no shortage. Every era has a player or two who manage to completely run the game at their own pace. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, let's run it back to when Hakeem Olajuwon was destroying the league and won the MVP award back in 1994. In some ways, you could say that Olajuwon was one of the first few foreign players to set a certain standard. His heroics showed that anyone could come up from anywhere and destroy the league at a moment's notice. Since then, we've had numerous legends in the form of Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and so on. Even today, new legends are rising in the form of Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, and so on. So it seems like Wembanyama has his work cut out for him once he gets drafted into the league. At the end of the day, it'll all come down to how hard he's able to push himself. With that being said, I guess the final question is, who's right, Barkley or Wembanyama? Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. See, both of these guys are right to some extent. While Barkley might be acting a little unfair, you can't fault the man for being a doubter. Sure, there have been a bunch of legendary foreign players who've graced the game over the years. However, at the same time, there have been plenty of occasions where a very promising talent has turned out to be a dud. Plus, if I'm being honest, there's a higher chance of a draft prospect turning out to be a dud than there is of him becoming the next big thing. But that's no reason to lose all hope. There's still the fact that Wembanyama is fun to watch and has proven that until now, he's the best player in his class. Considering the level that the game has managed to evolve to, I'd say that that's no small achievement. He's probably the only rookie whom I've seen receive this level of support in a very long time. The NBA decided to stream all of his games for free on their app. What could be better than that? All Wembanyama has to do now is get his head in the game and stay focused. In case it wasn't already obvious, he's probably worked hard all his life to get this good. To throw all of it away now would be a catastrophe. As long as he continues to work hard and stay positive about his game, he'll be fine. He's proven that he's more than capable of keeping on par with current NBA legends. As for everything else, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. That was everything on how Charles Barkley expressed his skepticism about Wembanyama's ability to survive in the NBA.